I'm about to put every English teacher in the world out of a job, and I don't think I'm joking about that. What I'm about to share with you is insane. It is mind-blowing. It's ChatGPT. Now, you may have heard of that, but you may probably have not seen it used in this way. I'm going to teach you how you can use AI, ChatGPT, to improve your English, to essentially have an on-demand English teacher 24/7. So, let's get into it. Before we get into today's video and talk about how to use ChatGPT to improve your English in a mind-blowing way, I want to talk about today's sponsor. It's a book. It's called The EPP Method. No, it's not actually invisible. That's just the green screen. There we go. That's a good angle. It's called the EPP Method, 3 super simple steps to build and retain essential vocabulary for adults. It's by Michael Cavallaro. Now, this book is great because it's not for babies, first of all. This is really high-level vocabulary, but not high-level vocabulary that just sort of throws it in your face and says good luck. It teaches you how to learn this vocabulary in the right way. The problem with learning vocabulary is that it's hard to do in context. This book solves that. You can learn words, advanced words, like pusillanimous, one of my favorites. It's in this book, I checked. Pusillanimous is in there. You can learn these in context and then go through a series of steps, exercises that can make sure those words stick in your brain so that when you need them in the future, when you're talking later, boom, they're there immediately. That's the big issue with vocabulary. We learn these things, it's kind of there, and then when we need it, where is that word? I don't know. This book will teach you these words in the right way so that they stick, so that when you're speaking, they're just there, okay? So pick up the book. You can grab it in the links in the description. I highly recommend it. It's very interesting, it's very engaging, and you can learn very cool words like pusillanimous. Okay, now let's get into the video. Let's talk about how you can use ChatGPT to take your English to the next level in a mind-blowing way. So here we are in ChatGPT. If you've used it before, it should be familiar to you. You can ask things like, please give me some ideas for gifts to give grandparents. All right, and it can give me some suggestions. Basically, it's a playground where you can ask anything, and sometimes you get really good answers, and sometimes you get kind of weird answers. So at this stage, and I'm sure it will get better, at this stage, there is a little back and forth. So you have to know how to write the questions. Essentially, we're creating the perfect prompt. I had to work with it for quite a while to get the right thing, to get an English teacher to pop out of ChatGPT. And so I'm going to share with you the prompt that I use. You can use it, but just keep in mind that if you don't get what you want immediately, you may be able to refine it with some follow-up questions. In my testing, sometimes it gave me exactly what I was looking for, which is what? Which is that I say things and the teacher tells me what I could do better by making some corrections, giving me feedback, and explaining those things. That's what a teacher does, right? I want you to act as an interviewer and English teacher. I will be the other person, and you will ask me the questions about the topic of making friends. Now, this is where you would put in whatever you want to talk about. This is where you put in your topic, okay? So making friends, weddings, eating too much, whatever it may be. I want you to only reply as the interviewer. Do not write all the conversation at once. I want you to only do the interview with me, ask me questions, and wait for my answers. If I make any English mistakes, I want you to correct me and explain the correction. Give a clear explanation of each correction. That's key. Very important to have that. Ask me questions one by one, like an interviewer does, and wait for my answers. My first sentence is hi. So here we go. Boink. See if it works. Okay, how do you typically go about making new friends? I usually making new friends by going to places where have my interest and finding others who having the same interest. If we are both interesting in the same thing, I think we can be a good friend. Not great, right? That's what we want. We want some feedback. Now let's see. And if it doesn't go, if we don't get the explanations, we can ask follow-up. Here we go. That's a good approach. You might consider saying, typically make new friends by going to places that have, I typically make new friends by going to places that have activities that interest me and finding, it's going too fast for me here, and finding others who have similar interests. If we both enjoy the same thing, I think we could be good friends. By the way, perfect. Perfect. Now, the explanation, because you don't just want correction. That's just editing, right? Rewriting it. What are you learning? In this sentence, you use the present continuous verb having instead of the present simple verb have. You also use the word thing instead of activity. It's also helpful to use the word enjoy instead of are interested in to make your meaning clearer. Finally, you could use the word could instead of can to make your sentence more polite. I think there's more to correct there, but that's pretty good. Let's keep going here. All right, now, we didn't get, if ChatGPT doesn't give you feedback on this, just say, give me feedback, please. And I'm gonna ask now, please give me some more corrections and explanations. Okay, let's see what we get here. Certainly. Here are a few more corrections and explanations. Instead of saying, I usually making new friends, you could say, I usually make new friends. The present simple verb make is more appropriate than the present continuous making. Instead of saying, instead of saying, where have my interesting, you could say that have activities that interest me. Here you could use the plural form activities instead of thing to refer to multiple interests, and you could also use the possessive pronoun my to indicate that these activities belong to you. Instead of saying finding other who having the same interest, you could say finding others who have the same interests. Perfect. Here you could use the plural form interest instead of interest to refer to multiple interests, and you'll see okay, this is amazing. So all I had to do to get more is say, give me more. Now, I think you want to be specific there to say, give me more corrections and explanations. Again, if you have to know the right words to use. I would guess if you just say, give me more corrections, then it's just going to correct. You don't just want corrections. You want corrections and explanations, because the explanations tell you why. They give you a reason, right? Instead of saying I usually making, you could say I usually make. The present simple verb make is more appropriate than the present continuous verb making. Beautiful. Yes, that's exactly right. That's perfect. Okay. One issue here is that it has not continued the conversation. It should have asked me a follow-up question. Okay, now ask me another question. It's kind of like we're poking the Totoro here. We're kind of boink, boink, come on, let's go. We're helping to train this new creature that exists in the world, right? Here we go. Let's see if this works. Sure, how do you typically start a conversation with someone? So it's like poking it, right? Come on, you can do it. You're very smart, but let's go. All right, geez. How do you typically start a conversation with someone? I usually start by ask some questions about some stuffs that we are both having in common. I think if we can talking about this kind of things, there will be a good conversation. Oh, that's rough. That's bad. Ooh, that's bad. Okay, a couple spelling errors there, some typos, good stuff. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Come on. That's a good approach. You might consider saying, I usually start by asking some questions about things that we both have in common. I think if we can talk about, let's go. It goes too fast for me to read. I'm a human, ChatGPT. Slow down for me. I think if we can talk about these kinds of things, there will be a good conversation. Oh, that's much better. That's much better. In this sentence, you used the present continuous verb starting instead of the present simple verb start. You also used the word stuffs instead of things to revert to the topics of conversation. Finally, you used the present continuous verb having instead of the present simple verb have. It's more common to use the present simple have to indicate a more general ongoing state. What is going on? I've just put basically every English teacher out of a job, maybe including myself. I hope so. That will be interesting. Well, maybe not. Anyway, play with this. I'm going to put the prompt in the description below the sponsor for today's video. Make sure to pick up that book as well, because you do need to speak. So you need to be learning some words in here as well. Do everything, right? Let me know what you think about this. Play with it. Don't be afraid to push if you don't get exactly what you want, but start with the prompt that I'm going to give you. And again, let me know how it goes. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And also check out my full courses in the links in the description. See you in the next one.